Good afternoon, everyone. You're all very welcome to Underground Cinema. This is our second interview this morning or this afternoon on this wet Halloween bank holiday weekend. You're all very welcome, guys. So this morning or this afternoon, I've got with me Adam William Cowell, I've got Susie Redmond, and I've got Ty Gerry. You're very welcome, guys.
Thanks so much, Dave. Really appreciate it.
No problem at all. And you know, Adam, it feels like we've been dealing with each other for years and years and years and years and years. You know, and Ty, we go back a bit as well because we go back to the Royal Marine when we did Lift, Conor Armstrong's film back. That's a number of years ago. So Adam submitted 2 films to us this year. Follow the Dead, which is a feature film, which is Adam's first time directing a feature, and then his short film, which is for his first time directing the short film, Loose Thread. Now, this is a lovely piece of filmmaking. Adam, can you tell us just a little bit about this film?
Yeah, so Tig and I had discussions over an idea that he had for a short around a particular subject, and it's sort of difficult to go into it in too much detail without giving the whole plot of the film away. But essentially, what it boiled down to was there were 2 couples who are sort of like ships in the night in each other's lives, and are connected in ways that they don't really understand, and they both experience a difficult bit of news in the from the doctor at the same time, and both couples essentially have to deal with certain things, certain historical traumas, or things that they've done in their past, trying to work through things in order to decide how they were going to navigate through their future. And then there's sort of a connection between the 2 that we don't really kind of figure until the end. But yeah, I suppose that's as much as I can say about the plot without giving too much away.
Yeah, well, look, let's have a look at the trailer then, Adam, and let's just give everyone just a little taste of what the film was like.
Same again, please. Is it as bad as all that, is it?
You'd be surprised.
I knew you'd do this. But don't. Please.
Well, they say a problem shared is a problem halved, don't they?
You're suggesting we have each other's problems?
Couldn't hurt.
Great trailer, and as you say, Adam, it doesn't give too much away. The music, actually, your score is really good. It's a lovely piece for the trailer.
Yeah, Tig had worked with Enda Grace, isn't it? Tig from Dundara Productions before, and
yeah,
Tim. We went out to his house, and where is he, Tig? I can't remember where we went. His house is
yeah, he's in Kildare. I can't think of the proper location now. Allenwood in Kildare. He's got a studio there.
And so we spent the day with him trying to figure out a few different pieces that he had a library of songs that he was able to use, and he was just fitting them in where we got a little bit of a lesson, to be honest, didn't we, in terms of like how to fit in the kind of scores that weren't bespoke for the film, but working with tracks that were already pre-made and layering them in, and the way that he had kind of laid it down, everything just kind of fit really perfectly like a jigsaw, and it was he did a really, really great job on it, I think.
Yeah, for this piece, you don't want the score to be overwhelming. It's almost like it's just got to be incidental almost in the background, very subtle. But when those silent moments in the film, it works really, really well.
Yeah, it's definitely it's a very particular skill to know when to bring the music in and when to kind of just let the action play out, silently with no accompaniment. So yeah, and Grace deserves a big shout out for that one.
Brilliant. Now, Tig and Susie, you guys worked really well together. There's a great chemistry between the 2 of you on the scene. You just sort of clicked for me. That script, Tig, you must have been. It's sort of an actor's dream to get a sort of a role like that. It's a really good part to play, and the same for you, Susie, because there's a lot of different ranges you can play in both of these roles. It's a roller coaster ride of emotions.
Definitely.
Yeah, no, it definitely is. It was a great one to be a part of. So that, like, it was something when I was writing it. I wanted loads of different emotions happening. I wanted that kind of a dramatic feeling to it. And like, I had worked with Susie before on another short a couple of years ago, so maybe that's why the connection was so good. And it worked really well. Like, we did audition everybody for these roles. And like, the auditions were amazing. Everybody that came in was but they just blew us away, like, in different ways. But Susie and Gerry, when it came to breaking it down, like, their performances on the audition day was, we couldn't not cast them. They were that good, like,
100%.
Yeah, Susie, it is
With
for an actress. It's a great role to play, Susie. Did you enjoy it?
I did, yeah. I mean, it was definitely, as you say, an emotional roller coaster. But I enjoyed the challenge. It was definitely helpful to work with Ty. I think we did, we clicked really well on the first thing we worked on, and that definitely helped us develop the character, comfortable, and be able to go to that uncomfortable place as well. Just a lot of emotion and there's a lot of depth, a lot of layers to it. But I enjoyed it.
Brilliant. Like, there are two actors that aren't with us here today, and that's Gerry Grimes and Murray Carberry. I'd like to mention her as well. And like, their story and their performances right the way through, they start to remind me of my own parents in a way. They're deeply in love with each other. They're and then they get hit with this very bad news, and it's interesting to see how they deal with their story. They were great to work with, Adam, I would imagine.
Absolutely. Like, Tig was 100% spot on in saying that all of the auditionees blew us away, but that when we both Mary and Gerry, they stood out to us. From the get-go. We kind of Tig and I both kind of had our mindset on certain people, and we knew who we were leaning towards as we were going through the auditions. Once we got to the end, we both went, okay, which of the men, which of the women? And we both said the same person. And the only thing we wanted to do then after that was make sure that they had good chemistry. So we did get them back in for another stage of auditioning where they did a chem read together. And it was as though they had genuinely been in a relationship for years. It just they clicked so well together. We were very, very blessed in the auditions, but there was no doubt in both of our minds, like, who was gonna get the roles. And with Susie, though, like, she was the one of, like, there's so much. I'm blessed to have had so much talent involved in the project, because from Tig, to Susie, Mary, Gerry, and then you've got the kind of tertiary players with Niamh Sweeney, Brian Smith, and stuff like that. Like, there's such great talent there. But it was Susie that everyone behind the camera constantly was remarking every time we were doing a take, and she was hitting it out of the park every single take. And the crew kept remarking to me as well. It's like, she's unbelievable. So, like, we were so, like, seriously blessed with this cast.
Yeah, you're really lucky, and it's hard. We spoke about it before we went online. It's hard we're trying not to give anything away here about this script, because it is such a great piece. But it's, let's say, bad. It's bad news that you've received. And it's the way both couples have to try and navigate around this. And I think a lot of us, have sort of been in this sort of situation before. When we do get bad news, and how do we navigate through a difficult, through difficult times? And I think both Tig and Susie, as a young couple, and I think that the chemistry of the magic was brilliant, and it's so realistic. It was so real. You're just so drawn into it. And the same with and I love the way you've got the younger couple, and then the older couple, the two generations dealing with something very similar. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, it's interesting that like I like that you pointed that out, because that wasn't an important theme, Ty. It wasn't it like there was like Ty, the core of the story was something that was really weighing on Tyg's heart quite a lot for a number of months. And I kept saying to him, look, go write it. We'll work on it together once you get it down. And those things, like where you've got the two different generations dealing with a problem and seeing how they would navigate through it differently based on their life experience, was obviously something that is, you know, carried all the way through, and something that meant a lot to Tig when he was writing it, surely.
Mm-hmm.
And Tig, when did you write the script?
Oh, 2019, I think. It was a very quick process. Adam, as he said, like told me, like I had this idea and it was going on and on about it. He just said, write it down, we'll have a look at it. And I wrote it down anyway, and I remember actually when he was reading it, he said he could visualize everything he was reading. He could visualize the whole story. And we obviously worked through it and workshopped it and developed what it is now. Thank God for Adam. Adam obviously cleaned up some of the dialogue, which was probably a bit cheesy at the time. But I was just getting the idea down there. So Adam had an idea of what I was trying to explain to him. So, yeah, that was it. 2019. It was a quick process, I think, from writing to shooting. All happened within a few months. So,
so did you shoot? When did you shoot, Adam?
We shot I think we shot in August of 2019, wasn't it?
September or August or something. Yeah.
August, September, yeah, because we had it finished by November and we had it screened for the cast and crew by November, if I remember correctly. It's mad when you think about, because we've kind of had the pandemic situation kind of giving us a hiatus on the festival circuit and situation. You forget how far away it was that that we did all this. But yeah, I believe that's when that all went down.
Well, if you look at every single interview that we've done so far with all the nominees for the awards this year, every time I ask that question, people just stop and they have to think, and that's what the pandemic is doing. The 2 years, people are trying to remember exactly, like prior to it, you'd be able to, well, that was done 2019. Everybody's trying to remember, when did we actually do this? Yeah. And I suppose I was hoping you were going to say 2019 and into 2020, because like that would have been so difficult when we were, locked down. You just got it in just in time.
Yeah. It was like literally just that couple of months later, and then suddenly we're all locked in our homes. So we just got in before the buzzer, really.
Yeah, but unfortunately, unfortunately, then what happens then is that like you put an enormous amount of work into the film, and it's submitted. Traditionally, it's submitted to all the Irish festivals, the UK ones, the one abroad, and all of a sudden, bang, you have a fantastic film ready to be screened on the big screen, and then bang, everywhere is closed. The live film festivals. I mean, we were in the same position ourselves. I mean, we as you know, we screen every month, and we got hit in March, and sure, we didn't know. Like, it was on the news, it was going to be. This was only going to be a 2-week thing. I remember one date really well. For Leo Varadkar said it would be all over on the April 20th. I remember that day very well because that's my birthday, and I sort of planned. That's the day we're all going to get out of lockdown, and two years later. 2 years later, we were still. So it must have been a little bit disheartening, Adam. When you put an awful lot of work into it, and then bang, literally everything's closed. And you don't know when to reopen.
Yeah, I think that the pandemic was a really, really strange one for both of the films that I had made that year, because Follow the Dead, it was kind of like it definitely, we weren't able to go see Follow the Dead live anywhere as a result of the lockdowns and whatnot, and travel restrictions. But also the fact that the film is about a pandemic, it had this double-edged sword where it's like, we can't go see it in festivals, but it's actually probably going to do better in festivals because of how relatable it is. Whereas Loose Thread had a sort of a different thing, because we weren't we were all locked in our homes. But I don't think that was necessarily the reason why Loose Thread wasn't going to get into the live festivals anyway, because as we learned, and as you know yourself, Dave, this short is a particularly long short. It's 28 minutes, I think, and a lot of festivals, once they see a short film that's of that length, it's like, well, we could screen 2 other shorts in that time, and do you know what I mean? So that we're particularly grateful for the Underground for screening Loose Thread, because you guys, you endeavor to get the things played irrespective of the runtime of the film. So yeah, we were really grateful for the Underground, because you gave us an opportunity to show the film to an audience when other festivals weren't willing to take that chance on a film that was that lengthy for a short.
A festival director is always looking at minutes. Everything is about minutes. It's about the content. It's about will it entertain the audience, but also at the back of it all, it is about minutes. So when you're trying to program a 3 or a 4 or 5 day festival, you're trying to get as much in that is entertaining as you possibly can. And if a short is around 28 minutes, that makes it really difficult for some of the bigger festivals. They find that really hard. We have the luxury that we do them right the way through the year. So, from January through to September, and if we feel the film is right, we don't screen everything. I mean, we had close to 500 this year, and we narrowed it down to 154. So not everything is selected. Just because you sent it into us, we have, I suppose, like if you say 14 years ago when we first started, we were screening an awful lot of stuff that came into us, but we became a little bit more fussy as the years went by. We wanted to make sure that the production values are good and the content is good. So not everything is screened. Sure, like I can remember our first year, I got a short film in. It was 15-minute short with spaghetti boiling in a pot, and that was it. And it was, and he sent me a sequel with a boiled egg in a pot, and that's no joke. Yeah, we were getting stuff like that in, and because we're called Underground Cinema, we got a lot of dodgy stuff in as well, where people, that we just can't screen, So
sure.
we've seen it all. But yeah, it is about. But if the film is good, I think it deserves to be screened. And sometimes I think some festivals might consider and we did it this year actually. A program for shorts that are a little longer than your 10 or 15 minutes. The shorts that are 30 minutes, and you can easily put together four shorts. A 2-hour program with 4 sort of long shorts, because they do deserve to be seen, and this was one in one case. I thought it was great. And if it's a good short, it doesn't feel like 20 minutes or 28 minutes at them. If you're engrossed in it, you won't feel the 28 minutes, to be honest with you.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. Yeah, a lot of people have said that they don't feel the time passing, like it doesn't feel like it's almost half an hour. But I think again, it's very much a testament to the performances, because you need to be engaged. And like with Follow the Dead, Tyg is playing a stormer in that as well, because he's carrying the comedy of it, and everyone is staying very much entertained because they're laughing practically the whole way through. Whereas when you're doing a straight drama, you have to make sure that the contents, the themes and everything are engaging enough that people are willing to stick around to the end, and it's a testament to the performances of the actors to really carry that across and make it believable and have you invested in their arc. And I really felt for Susie while we were doing it as well, because obviously, like, the one thing I can say based on the trailer, you can obviously evidently see that there's a child involved in her story arc, and like with Susie, I mean, like, as a mother yourself, I don't know how dark of a place you had to go, what you had to imagine to kind of get to where you needed to go to for the role. But obviously, very massively appreciative that you did whatever you did, because that was, I think that's one of the more, the performance that we are, where we really get the feels. Obviously, for lack of a better expression, we really kind of empathize so much with your character. So.
Some actors for roles like this, would you rehearse it? Some people like to rehearse, or just stick to the lines and just go for it on the day to shoot. Or what way did you guys approach your characters? Maybe we'll start with Susie first.
I think, thinking back, I think we kind of just went for it. didn't we? Like for me to get to that
Mhm.
place, I kind of just need to take that moment and then go for it. You know, like it takes a bit to kind of get into that place, and then it's like, okay, let's roll, let's go. You know, so yeah, I wouldn't forget my scenes. Most of my scenes were quite emotional, so I was always having to go to that place and get in that zone, and so we definitely rehearsed dialogue and stuff before and worked on it, but in the moment on set, for me, it's just better to go for it, get in the zone.
More spontaneous.
Mm.
Right, and you, Tig, you know, you know, I've seen you in an awful lot of stuff over the years, and I've always enjoyed your performance. You know, this was a very different performance, I thought, Loose Thread, compared to everything else I've seen you before. I actually haven't seen you, you know, do a role like this before.
Yeah.
Did you find it a challenge at all, or just water off a duck's back?
Yeah, more off the duck's back. Like I kind of knew where I wanted to go myself with it. And between myself and Adam directing, you know, different options and stuff. Like I don't like think when I'm playing any part, I don't think about it too much. I kind of go a lot on instinct. How I think this should, how it should be and how it should feel. And then if it's not working, obviously the director will step in and say, look, try this. But you know, I'm happy to just bang it out on the day, you know, get it done and not think about it too much, because I think for me, the more I think about stuff, the more I get really caught up in it, and then I wouldn't say struggle, but yeah, I just don't like thinking about it too much. I just like to get it done.
Yeah, well, exactly. You don't overcomplicate it, especially as the writer. You know exactly what you want from this particular script. It's been in your mind for quite some time, so you know there is probably no need to overcomplicate things.
Yeah, exactly. And working along with Susie, like obviously, like her performance was just unbelievable. So it's very easy to go to a place that you need to go when you have someone like Susie working alongside you. You know, you feel like you're really there and this is really happening. So it does make it easier when you've got talent such as Susie working alongside you. So.
Well, no, we definitely worked off each other's energy.
Yeah.
And you never know. Even myself, I never know what we're going to do until I work with
exactly.
Until we got to said the lines together and you feed off each other's energy. Brings that performance out. So I say the same for you. Like, you know, you brought the best out of me, and yeah, I think we worked well together.
Yeah, it just worked. It was, you know.
Great.
I was impressed that Tig was able to actually focus as much on the role as he did, considering that he was also producing the thing. So like Tig was doing every bit as much of the production work as I was doing. So his mind is on the not only is he thinking about the script and he's thinking about his performance, but he's also thinking about, okay, we need to get the craft services table organized and all these other things as well. So it's so many different things going on. So the fact that you got the role the way you wanted it as well is impressive.
And Tig, was that your first time producing, or have you produced before?
No, that was the first time. Yeah, that was the first time.
Okay,
so I don't think I'd do it again. I just keep it to the acting side of things if possible.
Yeah, like again, if you look back at some of the interviews that we've done over the past 2 weeks, and we've come across some of the lead actors where they've produced as well, and they've said the exact same thing, Tig, that next time they'll just focus on the acting, because it is difficult. You're trying to focus on a very a challenging part, and you might feel it comes easy to you, but you could be distracted by an awful lot of other things, like even the food, the catering, you've got to get everybody up until at 6 o'clock. You're conscious of time, so it is. You're playing multiple roles, and you've so many different functions as a producer.
That's what it was like. Time limits. We only a certain amount of time in certain places, so you're kind of trying to get the performance, but move it on as quick as possible, but still, yeah, it's like a pressure cooker kind of sometimes when you're under time constraints and stuff like that, and trying to obviously bang out a performance and get it in the can, as Adam just said. But yeah.
And you're dealing with as a director and a producer, you're dealing with multiple personalities on the set. So you're not just playing your own role, you're actually playing another role on the cameras as well, trying to make sure that your crew and your cast, everybody's happy. So it's a big responsibility, really. Yeah. What was the budget? Have you got much of a budget?
Yeah, this is the thing. Tig sprung for everything because it was his passion project. So I don't even. Do you remember how much it was in the end?
Oh, I can't remember. Did it come out 5,000 or 6,000?
Yeah, something like
that.
In and around.
I wanted to try and accommodate everybody with something. I didn't want to not pay everyone. I wanted to try and give everybody something. So I think I managed to do that. It wasn't much, but it was what I could afford at the time. Because we had insurance issues, we had to get insurance for certain locations, and there was we had to pay for some of the locations as well, which obviously builds up pretty quick.
The money just the money just flies, doesn't it? Like, I mean, you think, I got $6,000. That could be gone in days, and if you don't have even contingency money put aside, where you're going, a problem's going to arise. Say a location doesn't work out, you have to move to another location, and it could be twice as dear. All of that has got to be built in. Yeah.
Well, that's it as well. Post production as well. Adam will tell you. You kind of forget about that, but when that starts, that's money starts flying. Then, to get it.
Yeah. To getting the sound. You don't realize that the sound design is so important. So getting a proper, you've got to get someone who really knows what they're doing with the sound design. So that's a huge expense that you're not expecting coming down down the pipeline in post.
Sound in general, Adam. Even on set, again, I talk about we got films. I think I mentioned we would have screened over 5,000 shorts over the past 13, 14 years, and it's heartbreaking when you get a short in, and visually it looks amazing. The production values are great. You probably know some of the actors and some of the crew, and all of a sudden the sound is brutal, and you switch off, and it's very difficult. We watch everything from start to finish, but it's absolutely. But I would imagine another festival, if say Galway or Dublin. If the sound is bad, they will switch off, and they will probably, all right, let's move on to the next short there, So sound is vital. It's vital. Why?
I was sitting down with the guy. I know that the Rock and the Sea, the team behind that, the Rock and the Sea is up for a plethora of awards at the Underground this year, which is great because the movie is absolutely fantastic. But I had the pleasure of sitting down with them a few weeks ago, the team involved, and we were all having this exact conversation where we're like, you can actually forgive bad visuals an awful lot more than you can forgive bad sound. So it's not even like it's a 50-50 balance. You really do need to make sure your sound is the best thing in your film. And the problem is you don't realize how important it is until it's missing, because good sound kind of goes unnoticed. It's sort of like it's like a hidden hero, as opposed to the visuals, which is what is striking. It's what everyone's paying attention to. You're not really sitting there going, that's really good audio being captured there. You're just, you just take it for granted. But it is, if you were to have a film with really poor audio, but the visuals are absolutely stunning, like a Christopher Nolan looking movie, but the audio is awful, you'd turn it off. Whereas you can have a movie that was filmed on a phone. If the audio is crisp and incredible, you'll watch that to the end and it won't bother you at all. You'll forget the visuals after 5 minutes. So it really is that important.
We knew a couple of years back, it was in 2016, we knew an independent Irish filmmaker that went and made a feature film. And, he put together a respectable budget for the film. I kept in contact with him because I happened to be making a feature film roughly around the same time. So I was producing Tig, and all the money was just disappearing on me as well. But I was phoning this director just to see how he was getting on, and he was doing. I put down the phone and said, "God, he seems to be much more on top of things than I am." It all sounded great, and anyway, he made the film, and a short while afterwards, I contacted him, and he told me the sound on set was a disaster, and that he had to go back into the studio and had to ADR almost half the film. And that's that's from picking the wrong sound guy and not checking the sound, on a daily basis. But visually, this film looked amazing. A feature film with a respectable budget in it, and practically ruined because the sound was completely arseways, to be honest with you, and he had to redo it in the studio. So it's vital.
No.
And the Rock in the Sea, that's up for 11 awards this year. The sound design in that is incredible. It's beautiful. So they did a really, really good job. So and when you go into the cinema, I haven't seen that on the big screen. I'd love to see it on the big screen. I would imagine it's like beautiful right the way around the theater. The sound is incredible, I'd say.
Yeah. Those guys were really so polished, like everything. But the visuals on the Rock in the Sea are stunning as well. So they did absolutely everything right. Tig and I were lucky on Loose Thread that we didn't have to do any ADR. On Follow the Dead, we did. Now it was the same sound recordist on both, so kudos to him. Like Loose Thread is obviously, we didn't have any issues there whatsoever. On Follow the Dead, we had some issues because we were filming a lot outside, and then you've got generators in the background and all this kind of stuff. So the ADR was a nightmare. So we were blessed that we didn't have to have anything like that on Loose Thread. Loose Thread was everything that you hear is caught on set.
I forgot to mention earlier on, Adam. Adam's also been nominated for the Rising Star Award this year. We came up with that particular award, but I think 7 or 8 years ago. That the Rising Star Award and the Student Award, they're two of my favorites, to be honest with you, because I love seeing you up and coming talent. So what happens there is our panel are sort of given a brief on who was a first time director, and that's where they decide who should be nominated this year. So congratulations, Adam. It's a really great one. And your old pal won it last year, Luke.
Yeah. Yeah, Luke, obviously, like he and I work very, very close together on different things. I've edited 2 of his features. Poppy Loftus had its screening, cast and crew screening there a couple of days ago, and went down a storm. Everyone was wetting themselves laughing, so that's great. And I'm currently editing his second feature film, Tuesday Traders, which stars Paul Ronan and Alan Devine and Ciara O'Callaghan, a few well-known names on the island. And it is great to work with him. Like we work together so much, people seem to think that we're a pairing, even though we'd very much be like, no, we're our own artists. We're doing our own thing, but we just work so much together that it's like, yeah, those two are a package. But yeah, like, I mean, I'm always delighted to work with him though, because I'm not surprised at all that he won the Rising Star last year, because he's an absolute workhorse, and he has his own vision of and I think that's really, really important when it comes to creating your own project. So I'm delighted. I'm very, really humbled to be considered for Rising Star this year. And but I obviously anytime you're up for an award, and I'm sure like Tig and Susie will say the same thing, like when you're up for an award and then you see who you're up against, you try not to think about it too much, because you're just like, well, I don't stand a chance, or you just feel a little bit like So like I with the people who are involved as well, really, really high end talent, really great talent involved in the all across the board, all the nominations. So I'll be excited to just be there and take it all in, because it's my very, very first time at the award ceremony, and I've heard nothing but good things from the people who have been there previously. I was talking about it recently, obviously with Luke, but also Connor Fleming, who I believe did very well last year with was it Three Brothers 2? Is that what it's called? So
that's right. Yeah.
Everyone speaks so highly of the award ceremony, so really, really excited to be there now on Saturday.
Yeah, no, it's a great night. Just when you were talking there, you just sort of yourself and Luke remind me of two brilliant filmmakers that are joined to the hip. Brian O'Neill and Paul Bush. They run a company called Two Joker Films, and they first started sending their films into us back in the very first year. And the work that they've done is incredible. So you sort of remind me, yourself and Luke remind me of those two guys, two brilliant filmmakers. Susie, have you got anything in the pipeline, Susie? Are you working on anything?
I am. Well, I've written a script, so I'm working on actually making my own short film. Obviously, you guys know the logistics behind getting everything together, and I've a small baby, two small babies, so it's taken a while, but I'm definitely to direct this one. I don't think I'm going to act in it.
Oh, brilliant!
Yeah, that's the plan. Hopefully.
Right.
Nice.
And Tyke, are you doing anything at the moment?
Yes and no. I've done a lot of stuff that hasn't been released yet. I've had an ESB commercial being released. It was released last week, so that's going really well. It's the Beat the Peak pilot commercial for the ESB.
Right.
I've done some nice things that I can't talk about contract wise. So yeah, I've done a lot of stuff and I have a few nice bits coming up. But obviously, you do so many things and you're waiting for stuff to be released. You nearly forget half the time some of the stuff you do. So I just keep plodding along. I make a few sketches in between professional jobs, as you say. But yeah, busy enough. Happy out.
Every single Irish person from rural Ireland needs to go onto Tyke J. Devery on Facebook and Tiger Devery on Instagram and check out the sketches that he does, because they're so funny, and so many, like, all the comments are always like, this reminds me of, like, because he plays his own father in a lot of the sketches and the new ones that he's doing. Like, this reminds me so much of my dad. This reminds me so much of home. And everyone's always wetting themselves. Like, you got to get over and check it out if you haven't, because it's so funny and so relatable. Like, it's just, they're amazing sketches. They really are. And you're on TikTok now as well.
I'm on. Yeah, recently moved to TikTok. That's crazy over there. Like, I should have done it months ago, but I'm happy I'm over there now, because I've got a lot of content I can release there that I've already posted on Facebook and Instagram. So now it's kind of all new. I'm kind of putting all the sketches over on TikTok, and they're going really well. So yeah,
Brilliant. Well, look, guys, I'm going to wrap it up. Thanks a million for joining us this afternoon. It was great chatting to you all. I look forward to seeing you at the awards. If it's your first time, you're going to have a ball. And I look forward to seeing all the new work in the future. Well done, everyone.
Brilliant, Dave. Thanks so much for having us.
Thanks very much, Dave.
Can't wait for
No
Saturday.
problem, guys. We look forward to it.